This is 3 News Daily.
Hello everyone and welcome back to 3 News Daily on this Thursday, March 30th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from around Northeast Ohio. And we start off in Amherst this afternoon with disturbing video of a bus driver using inappropriate and offensive language towards students. This happened yesterday and a student recorded it happening on her phone and then posted this video on TikTok.
I'm sick of you. I'm sick of all of the I'm done with it. I'm gonna start kicking some serious. Do you hear me?
Yes.
My foot's gonna be so far up your it's gonna dangle out your nose. I'm done with you.
That is certainly some wild video there. Now, the school issued a statement saying the bus driver's behavior will not be tolerated, and they have already received a resignation letter from the driver. The school superintendent says an investigation is underway. And today, new body cam footage has been released from the moments when a Cleveland police detective was shot in the arm and leg on March 14th. You can see part of it here where Officer Mark Barachek pulls up along suspects believed to have stolen a Kia near East 30th and Cedar Avenue. Now, as the officer opens the door and confronts the suspects, you can see shots are fired, knocking him back into the cruiser. And then he falls onto the ground at the scene. Now, a responding officer applied a tourniquet to help the detective, and Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association President Jeff Fulmer previously told 3 News that likely saved that officer's life. Thank goodness he's alive today. All right, now as we continue to bring you the stories that are happening here in Northeast Ohio, we've learned that an attorney was indicted on several charges, including child exploitation and drug possession. The Geauga County Prosecutor's Office says Eric Norton was caught with more than 5 grams of meth while on his way into the Geauga County Jail for a meeting with an inmate. Now, after an investigation, officials found what they called child exploitation materials on Norton's cell phone. Norton is now charged with illegal use of a minor in nudity-oriented material or performance, drug possession, and tampering with evidence, among other charges. His arraignment is scheduled for April 14th. And in Akron, the city is continuing work to try to heal following the police shooting of Jalen Walker, who died, and that death sparked protests across the country. Community members met with police last night to learn the next steps in the fight for justice for Jalen. Leah Spara reports.
It's now been 9 months since the shooting death of Jalen Walker. The 25-year-old was shot and killed by Akron police after a traffic stop and a high-speed chase. Walker was unarmed when he was hit by more than 40 bullets.
Grand jury is run strictly by the prosecutor.
In a community meeting at New Hope Baptist Church in Akron, all were welcome to hear and understand whether or not the 8 officers involved will be indicted by a grand jury.
They try to impanel the most impartial grand jury that they possibly can.
All 8 officers are going to be presented to the grand jury, but whether or not all are charged depends, again, on the grand jury. Stephen Miletz is Akron's new police chief. He answered questions as to why the 8 officers' names have not been released.
If an officer is indicted, their name will be released.
Miletz says his case has gone quicker than most. It takes about 14 months to present evidence to the grand jury. This one is headed there in less than a year.
To be totally upfront and honest with you, I was expecting this to take a little bit longer because there were so many officers involved.
BCI is conducting the investigation of Jalen Walker's shooting.
Every decision the officers made, is going to be examined and scrutinized. They are going to have to explain why every bullet went down the barrel of their gun.
Now, Akron police say they're cooperating with BCI and made it clear that BCI is operating its own independent investigation. Now, in Chester Township and Chardon, tensions are high ahead of a drag reading event scheduled at a church for this Saturday. Chester police are now asking the event's organizers to cancel the event, saying there's a realistic threat of violence from protesters. But the Community Church of Chesterland is not backing down. They say they are moving forward with the event and they're confident in their security plan. The church is advising, though, if you don't have a ticket to the event, they say please be safe and stay home. And tonight in Chardon Square, in an effort to promote peace, the drag event's organizers are asking the community to come together for a vigil at 7 p.m. They say all faiths and non-faiths are welcome to come send a message of love and compassion. Now, for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic, Americans receiving food stamps will no longer receive emergency allotments. Those extra SNAP benefits, which meant a lot to a lot of people, were meant to help fight food insecurity during the pandemic. Our Isabel Lawrence spoke with recipients to learn just how much this is impacting our community.
So just give them their typical snacks, peanut butter, sandwiches, their fruits, their vegetables.
Like many parents, Nicole Lawrence knows that feeding hungry mouths is a full-time job. The single working mom has 3 kids of her own and has taken in 6 of her nieces and nephews.
Being able to provide, that's the biggest goal for me.
The SNAP emergency allotments she received monthly throughout the pandemic made it easier for her to keep moving forward.
Definitely with the cost of living and everything going up, that was just like right on time assistance, you know, just to give you that relief that you can feed your children.
But now that the emergency allotments have ended, she's looking for other ways to make ends meet.
Okay, now I have to strategize different ways to adapt, to fill in the blank for those benefits that has been taken away from the households.
Lawrence isn't alone. The Greater Cleveland Food Bank says SNAP households will lose at least $95 in monthly benefits, with some losing hundreds.
Many of our seniors were eligible throughout the pandemic this last 3 years of an increased amount because of those emergency benefits of $281 a month. They're going to drop back down to $23 a month.
Tiffany Scruggs with the food bank says 1 in 5 people in Geauga County are food insecure, and in Cleveland, it's 1 in 3. Already, they've seen a 10% increase in people served through their feeding partner network over the past year, and they are bracing for more.
This week is the first week that households in Ohio would not receive that additional benefit. So we're kind of waiting to see what the impact will be in terms of increased needs, as we've learned from other food banks whose states already enacted this policy change.
Now, if you aren't getting those benefits anymore, that will be a big difference to your bank account for getting that food. So if you need support, the food bank has a help center, and you can call groups like 211 that can connect you with other resources. Now, our Ohio lawmakers have now approved new rail safety rules as part of a $13.5 billion transportation budget. Now, this has been top of mind as the East Palestine community is still coping with the February 3rd toxic train derailment. The legislation requires 2-person crews on freight trains and that wayside track detectors be 10 to 15 miles apart. So now the bill goes to Governor DeWine's desk for final approval.
Go team! Assemble!
Oh my goodness!
All right, we're all here. Look at this. Good to see everybody.
Great to see you.
Hey, we know that guy. Check out who joined our morning show team today. Al Roker got into town yesterday, and this morning he stopped in here at WKY Studios to hang out with Dave, Maureen, Danielle, Austin, and Holly. It was a fun morning filled with surprises, like Mr. Russ Mitchell himself popping in to visit an old friend. And there was another surprise for Al Roker when Slider himself, he gave him his very own Guardians jersey. Perfect for opening day. Al was part of the WKYC family back in the 70s, early in his career. We want to say thank you for coming to visit us. It's always a pleasure to see you, Al, here in your adopted hometown. And today is a big day for the Guardians. They're gearing up for tonight's showdown in Seattle against the Mariners. It's the first game of the season, and even though the game's in Seattle, the folks over at Progressive Field are pulling out all the stops ahead of first pitch. New food concepts, ballpark programs, and Guardians apparel for the new season will all be on display. The home opener is next Friday. You'll be able to see that right here on 3 with special programs we have up our sleeves for all of you at home. And that brings us to our question of the day. Ahead of the Guardians season opener in Seattle tonight, we want to know, what are your predictions for this season? Post your comment to the WKYC Facebook page, and we'll talk about it during What's New at 4 o'clock. I'm telling you, they're going to win the American League Central Division again this year. We're going to see them make a deep run into the playoffs. I'm calling it now. Thanks for being with us for today's edition of 3 News Daily. We'll catch you back tomorrow with more of your top stories from Northeast Ohio. Everybody have a great day.